Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Smith, for being here. Secretary Moniz regularly states that innovation is one of the most important aspects of advancing energy technology. However, it's very clear that clean power plan will devastate the coal industry. The question is this the right way to innovate, to actually harm an entire industry so others will prosper, or wouldn't we be better served investing more in fossil energy research and technology development than trying to regulate our way to success?
Well, thank you for the question, Congressman. And this kind of steers us back to a point that we've had an opportunity to discuss a couple times in this hearing. It's difficult to push forward with some of these clean energy technologies when it's free to emit as much carbon pollution as you want to. What the Clean Power Plan does is provide some incentives or some mandates and incentives for states to reach certain predetermined levels of CO2 emissions. And it's an all-of-the-above approach. You can meet those targets using whatever methodology one chooses, be it wind or solar or nuclear, or in the case of the technologies that I'm working on, carbon capture and sequestration, reduce greenhouse gas emissions coming out of industrial sources and out of power sources. So we believe it's very important that under the Clean Power Plan that states will have the option of continuing to use domestically produced sources of fossil energy, including oil and natural gas, and that we're developing those technologies to make sure that there are cost-effective ways of capturing CO2 out of those sources.
Another question: the Energy Information Administration recently reported that coal dropped to 29% of the U.S. utility-scale power generation, down from almost 38% last year. At the current rate of regulatory impact, aren't the coal and research and development programs at DOE going to be a little too late?
Well, I mean, we're seeing natural gas prices down at $2.15, I think, today. So you're seeing very low natural gas prices. They've gone down and beneath $2. And this was when I was in the industry not too long ago, and we're seeing close to double-digit natural gas prices. That has a big impact on decisions that electricity power generators make in terms of how they dispatch electricity. It's been a real challenge for coal country. It will continue to be a real challenge. But what we have to work on, I mean, that's a market force that we're not going to be able to unwind. And I'm not going to make any predictions about the future of commodity prices. I mean, natural gas prices are also volatile, and I don't think we can count on any particular price or any particular position in the dispatch curve of various forms of power generation. But what we do have to do is make sure that we're continuing to innovate on technologies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions out of all sources of energy. So we try not to chase the commodity curve. I mean, we can't say, well, a price is a certain place, and so therefore we're going to stop a research and development program. The challenges remain the same, and so we want to give some certainty to our researchers. And the road is long in this area.
And you mentioned the inexpensive natural gas production, and since 2010, according to Sierra Club, we've lost about a third of the country's coal capacity. It's been shut down because of the regulations of the EPA. But we've been able to avoid spikes in electricity costs because of the cheap natural gas. Would you agree that the electricity rates would have spiked much higher after those coal shutdowns if it wasn't for fracking and the cheap natural gas?
Well, I mean, first I challenge the characterization that coal is being challenged by EPA regulations. That's the cause of the challenges around coal. I mean, I just don't think that's correct. I mean, market forces have had an enormous impact on coal, and that's been driven by the trillions and trillions of cubic feet of natural gas that are available now that weren't available 10 years ago.
But in Georgia, we had 3 coal plants shut down because of EPA regulations. But you're saying that the EPA regulation hasn't had an effect on coal production?
I'm saying that the major effect, the major challenge that coal faces is the fact that natural gas prices are $2 and they're not $10. And that has a big impact on the way that power generators decide to build plants. But to your question, I think that the advances around hydraulic fracturing, advances around horizontal laterals, our ability to extract shale gas out of shale formations has been tremendously positive for the United States. We're going to be net exporters of liquefied natural gas. When I last saw the chairman, we're down in Sabine Pass seeing the very first LNG export terminal that I worked on when it was an import terminal, when I was in industry. So this
You need to work on some more of those.
well, we've worked on quite a few of them, right?
And so, I mean, from what I'm hearing is because of the fracking and the access to the cheap natural gas we have here in the U.S. has definitely helped offset some of the loss of our coal production and keeping the prices down for the consumers.
Indeed. I mean, 40% of our power generation comes from coal. Okay. A big percent comes from natural gas, and they're both important.
Yeah. Last quick question, if I may, Mr. Chairman. There is a movement to keep it in the ground, which would stop fracking and access to this natural gas. I mean, we actually have some presidential candidates who are campaigning on this. We're going to keep it in the ground, put a lock on accessing these commodities through fracking and natural gas. Would that not cause a spike in electricity production? Should, as we've just been discussing, the access to these commodities is what's kept the prices low as we shut down coal. Would that not have the opposite effect then?
The increasing production of natural gas has had a very positive impact on our economy. It's had a positive impact on the environment. We understand, I mean, there are concerns about some of the risks, but those are things that we've quantified, and we believe that this is a process that can be managed safely. And so we think that natural gas is an important part of the clean energy economy in the future. In fact, we've been kind of explicit around that view.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I will yield back.
Thank the gentleman. The gentleman